Hey everyone, welcome back to the podcast. My name is Dan Hafner, and we're going to talk about some interesting stuff today. This is not some. This is a very weird episode, just overall. Um, we're talking about AI like we usually do, but we're talking about the Pope, which is kind of two things that you would never really think to talk about in the same episode, um, and it's going to be very interesting. So why are we talking about this? The Pope dropped what was called an encyclical, I believe. I had no idea what something like this was, and I just saw it was a very big story here recently. Um, and honestly, it's worth reading and it's worth looking into and it's worth having an episode talking about this, I believe. And not because it's religious based or it's scripture or anything like that, but because when a organization that's over 2,000 years old is talking about something, um, that's pretty significant. That's a um, pretty interesting thing to kind of turn your head and be like, wait a second, why are they talking about that? So anyway, I'm just going to kind of go through at a very high level. Um, there were 13 different points that were made in this document that was released. It was like a couple hundred pages. And to be honest, I have not read all of it. I've seen some AI summaries on it. I've read some stories on it. I read a little bit of it myself. So I can't say that I actually went through and read the whole document beginning to end by myself. I have not done that. But I've gotten the highlights. I've got the points I want to talk about here. And I'm going to kind of hit them one by one because they're very interesting. And it's not all software related. It's not all coding related. There's a lot of kind of ethical and moral things inside of here. And I'm not trying to make this a debate about theology. Just as a little bit of background, I was actually raised Catholic. Um, I would say that my wife and I we don't go to a Catholic church. She was raised in a Lutheran church. We both attend a non-denominational Christian church now. So I'm not here to pick on Catholics. I'm not here to support Catholics. I'm not here to pick on the Pope or support the Pope or anything like that. It's very, very interesting of all people to come out with something like this. I would not have expected the Pope to. But this is pretty interesting because apparently previous popes have done this when it came to the Industrial Revolution. And this is, we're in the midst of the AI revolution. So this is very, very interesting. The Pope is from Chicago. He's the first American Pope, which is very interesting. There's a lot of different things going on here. Let's dive into it. That's enough of an intro for this. Basically, I don't want to make this an hour long episode, but basically, what happened? I believe about a week and a half ago now or so. Pope Leo, I believe, is the 14th, released Humanitatis, Magnificent Humanity, which was his first encyclical. Right, it was focused on AI, on human dignity and what it really means to be human when machines can think kind of in the future, right? Um, and it's kind of interesting if you've kind of followed what the Pope has said in different, contexts. I know there was a spat with the president recently, but there's been other things about nuclear weapons and environment stuff. It kind of made sense that there was kind of the next piece to tackle was AI. And this was very, very interesting because there were 13 points, really highlights and kind of claims that were made, and it kind of lands on one side or the other. So again, I'm just reading these. I'm going to give my opinion on each of these. But the 13 points were these. Number one, AI must serve humanity, not replace it. Interesting. Number two, human intelligence is unique. Number three, big tech concentration is dangerous. Number four, AI needs strong regulation and guardrails. Number five, AI could destroy jobs at a massive scale. Number six, workers must not be treated like machines. Number seven, AI generated misinformation threatens democracy. Eight, AI weapons could become uncontrollable. Nine, children's development must be protected. Number 10, AI must not become a new religion. Number 11, algorithms are not neutral and biases are inherited. Number 12, human relationships matter more than efficiency. And number 13, society must choose between power and dignity. So That's a lot of claims, a lot of stuff to go through. I'm going to try my best to kind of work through each one of these as we have it kind of set up here. But let me just turn this off real quick. So, all right. So the first point, AI must serve humanity, not replace it. What was he kind of getting at here, right? Like we're building AI and we're building these robots, we're building all this technology to ultimately serve us. Obviously, we don't want AI taking over and being, overlords of the human race, obviously. Um, Pretty common sense thing. Not a whole lot to talk about there. I know it's I mean, I would actually agree with this point that yes, AI must serve humanity. I know there's a lot of, a lot of there's people in the younger generation, a little bit younger than me, that are definitely kind of seeing how, and we'll get to the number six where the jobs, number five and number six, where the job thing comes into play. But my believer that AI is going to overlord over humanity. Maybe someday, but I don't think I'll live to see that day. That's just my opinion. So anyway, pretty common sense one, right? Human intelligence is unique. Number two. Yeah, I believe so. I think there was a really cool speech, a graduation speech done by Steve Wozniak here not long ago. I forget what school it was at, but he said he got to talking about AI, and everyone was kind of waiting for the boo moment, and he said actual intelligence, and that was really really interesting. That was really cool because he got a lot of cheers with it. I agree with this one as well. Human intelligence is unique. For someone like me, I use AI almost all day, every day, and it has been a game changer and a life changing technology for someone like me, who runs a small firm, who's has all kinds of different clients, all kinds of different projects going. Um, I actually don't have a full time employee at the moment, right? So I have different contractors, I have different people that help me on a day to day basis, but it's really just me and a bunch of AI robots and a couple of contractors running the show, right? But it is, you still need people to run AI. You still need people to manage it. You still need that human intuition and that intelligence, which I have yet to find AI come even close to replacing, right? So I think we're pretty safe there. Here's where we start to get a little controversial, right? Number three, big tech concentration is dangerous. That's a pretty bold claim, right? He kind of talked about how, um, having all of these, companies that are like basically like an oligarchy now. I wouldn't really say that there's a monopoly, maybe not. What's the word for? I think it's oligarchy. Um, you have OpenAI, you have Anthropic, you have Perplexity, you have Google, you have like a handful of companies that are controlling all these things, and you and I, we're just renting from them, right? Um, I would tend to agree with him on this one. I would tend to say that, I mean, when you think about, like, I think uh, OpenAI is targeting a Q4 public offering, and it's supposed to be valued at over $1 trillion right now. I mean, and that's just mind-bogglingly crazy. I think Anthropic is also shooting for around those numbers. I don't know if it'll happen this year or not. Um, we have a SpaceX, IPO coming here probably in this year as well. That's supposed to be valued at probably even more than that. Um, so yeah, I do, and that was kind of why that was what happened with the whole Anthropic thing when they had the whole government, story fallout that I covered here on the show as well. Um, what happens uh, when you have unelected people controlling things that all of us use on a whim? They can just decide to do whatever they want to do, right? Again, is big tech concentration inevitable? Yeah, I think it kind of is, and it already has happened. Is it dangerous? Yeah, I also believe that as well. I would say I'm 3 for 3 with agreeing with them actually so far. Number four, AI needs strong regulation and guardrails. Um, yeah, I think there's some nuance to this. I don't think it's. I would tend to be I would tend to say I fall on the spectrum of, I would favor less regulation than more regulation, especially with this specific issue. And I think when it came to all the different states wanting to regulate AI in different ways, I thought that was very, very bizarre, and I don't really know how that is maintainable when you have online companies, these big tech companies that are all across the world. How can the state of Pennsylvania differ from the state of Florida, differ from the state of New York? I just never understood really how that would be feasible and scalable for any of us. Um, but obviously, ways, there are places where AI needs to be regulated. There was just a big story of the OpenAI case where Elon went and sued. There was a whole trial where they were suing Anthropic, or I'm sorry, suing OpenAI for the nonprofit to profit kind of thing. There was a lot that was revealed, basically got thrown out because the statute of limitations passed. So it was kind of like no verdict almost. Um, and there are instances where AI has been proven to talk people into committing suicide. You know, there needs to be some guardrails on this stuff. I'm 100% for that. But I also think that regulation always tends to be a slippery slope, and that can really, if we're trying to compete with China, we're trying to outcompete other areas of the world who are already investing heavily in this. Regulation can only slow us down as a country, is what I'm talking about. Um, so yeah, I think AI does need regulation. I wouldn't say strong regulation, but I would agree with the guardrails. There obviously needs to be some things that are set up around this to prevent this stuff from literally running off of its own rails, right? Number five, AI could destroy jobs at a massive scale. This is very interesting. There was a story, I believe, that came out either yesterday or today, um, where OpenAI CEO Sam Altman actually came out and reversed course. He's been saying all this time, like, there's going to be this jobs apocalypse. There's going to be no jobs. You listen to any of these people, they're like, yep, universal basic income's the next thing. You don't have to worry about it. AI is going to take all of our jobs. And Sam Altman actually came out and reversed and said, I actually think it's just going to make an economic boom. There's going to be more work for people. There's going to be, just more and more demand for human labor. Right. I was actually watching another podcast where they were talking about the uh, the explosion of software developer jobs on Indeed over the past year. You look at it on a chart, it's ridiculous. Like I can't get enough. Um, Help sometimes for people to review things and to build things. And I mean, the Dapper No Code brand is exploding right now. We're making more projects kicking off than we ever have. We have more clients on retainer than we've ever had. Like it is exploding at a rate that it's hard for me to keep up with. So when I see that software developer jobs are going away, when you say that, but then you see the data, reality is like, nah, brah, nah, like that's not, it's not happening that way. You're full of shit, is what you are, right? And then so this kind of ties in with number six: workers must not be treated like machines, right? Um, yeah, I mean, obviously, I would agree with this one as well. When I work with actual people that are, I would want them to manage the AI. I don't want to just treat someone like, hey, I have this, this, and this, and this to do, which has happened for a lot of human history, right? We can tend to be, very fickle as human beings, and not learn from our mistakes. And there's always people that are going to treat other people like they are machines, or like they're just a cog in the wheel to just get the things done and just do what I say to do. And I don't care if it's you have to stay late or you have to do whatever. So there's things like that, but um, there is a level of human decency, of respect that needs to go into there. I would agree with that one as well. And I don't think that there will be a lot of issues. I mean, I shouldn't say there won't be a lot of issues. I'm sure there will be at certain levels, but um, yeah, I would agree with that one as well. This is very interesting. Number seven, AI generated misinformation threatens democracy. I remember saying this at the 2024 election. Right before the last presidential election, they were having all these different things of Sora that was supposed to come out and like be like, oh my god, it's going to change the world, right? It's proven to be a lot less effective than you would think it would be. Um, but I think that there will be, these models are only getting better and better. AI is only learning and growing better and better and better. And yeah, I do think in future, not only like political elections, but when it comes to businesses, when it comes to social media, when it comes to just any kind of big events going on, there's going to be so much misinformation. It's going to be very difficult to tell what is real versus what is not real. I think this is actually the one of the biggest things that I worry about when it comes to AI, as far as like the moral side of it and the ethical side of it is what happens when you know um, something goes viral on the internet that actually dupes a lot of people that we're all like we all fall for it on either side, on any side of any political spectrum, on any kind of social class that you were in, whatever. Like we all believe that something terrible has happened, but it turns out to be completely fake, right? um I don't know. I really think that that's something that's worth, and that's kind of where it goes back to regulation and guardrails, need to be put in place. And I worry about this a lot. I worry a lot about the misinformation, the fake things that can come out because it's only a matter of time before AI can generate things that make things actually look real. And again, you could have a video of somebody, committing some kind of crazy illegal thing that I don't even want to talk about here on the show. Like you just use your imagination, right? Um, Now something that is that bad could clearly people would be like, that's clearly fake. There's no way someone in their right mind would do something like that, right? On the other hand, um, is there ways to manipulate photos or videos or audio, um, to make something look like there's plausible deniability? I mean, this is what the news has done forever. Is there's always a seed of, well, there's always this plausible deniability of like this might not be true. There's some evidence to back it up, but we're going to run with the headline anyway, right? And that's really what bothers me. Of like, man, like if there's just a grain of truth in something and it's twisted and it's just altered slightly with AI. Ugh, man, that really gets me. That gets me worried around like what's going to happen to our society in the future with those things. So, yeah, I would agree with this one. AI generated misinformation threatens democracy. Number 8, AI weapons could become uncontrollable. This was the whole thing with Anthropic, right? Of like, hey, what if the AI is detecting there's a imminent strike from China or Russia, and then there was never anything going on, and we launched nukes and we kill millions of people, and it was all like an AI kind of made up thing. Um, I would encourage everyone again to watch the movie Eagle Eye. Very, very, very cool movie with Shia LaBeouf years ago. Old movie actually, but that's kind of one of those stories of where an AI thing kind of gets out of control. And it's a really, really good movie worth a watch. I'm not going to comment a whole lot on that. I don't know a whole lot about that area. Children's development must be protected. Number 9. Yeah, I think this is. I mean, I say this all the time. I'm becoming a new parent here soon. Um, I think about this a lot. I think about screen time. I think about, they say that this generation of kids is going to be called Generation Beta because they've literally never known anything other than AI and technology and the internet in their entire life, right? And what does that do to the human brain? What does that do to your attention spans? What does that do to the development of kids? It's going to be a very interesting case study to see. There's a reason that Steve Jobs never let his kids use iPhones or iPads, um, and he was the guy that literally made tons and tons and tons of them. And they're like, it's like, why, right? Because they knew that there was dopamine involved in that, there was addiction involved in that, there's a lot of things involved in that. And yeah, I think that there's definitely something to be said about taking that a lot more seriously. Number 10, AI must not become a new religion. This is pretty interesting. You would kind of expect this from something from the Pope, right? But yeah, I mean, I was thinking about this. I was like, there's been instances I've covered on the show of people who have literally made an AI avatar to marry, right? And then it had kids, and like almost like the movie Her, right? That was also an old one. I've actually never seen that full movie. I watched part of it, and then something happened. I never watched it again, but. Um, I don't know if he was married to her or not, but you see what I mean? I haven't watched the movie, but it's very interesting. I could see this. I could literally see in the world we live in. I could see someone creating an AI god. I could see like it's not like it would create it itself. I could see someone using AI to build an entirely new religion, an entirely new cult. I could see this happening. Like this, the fact that like I was like, yeah, I could definitely see that being a possibility. Is pretty wild to me, you know. Um, and yeah, what if could you imagine where people go to church every week and there's just a big giant screen and it's just AI giving the sermon and like there's no actual person like that. That's kind of terrifying. That's kind of terrifying. I know the church we go to, they rebroadcast from one location out to like 10. So the sermon they're watching is actually like on a screen. So it's a little bit like AI, but like there's an actual human being. Like I'm in the church where like the actual person is talking, you know? Um, but yeah, AI must not become a new religion. I would agree with that one as well. Number 11, algorithms are not neutral and biases are inherited. Yeah, this is very interesting, right? Like there's been stories of is ChatGPT or Claude, if you ask it for like news stories or you ask it to give an opinion on a political figure, they can be skewed certain ways. They can be either more critical or more favorable towards certain candidates on certain sides of the aisle. Um, that's very interesting. And it's not even politics. It could be this with business. It could be this with certain political issues. Once a seed of bias is ingrained in these models, like it can only get bigger. It's not like it can eradicate this. At least I'm not an expert in LLMs, but I would be very hard pressed to see how that could like be fixed once it's been out there for a long time. They say they patch them, but I don't know. But at the same time, do you want something you talk to all the time to have just cold, metallic, no biases at all? I don't know. I don't know. You can manipulate the tool to respond to you or do different things that are have certain biases, but you have to specifically tell it that, right? Um, that's a pretty interesting one. That's a pretty interesting one, and it also and again, it's kinda like, you know, I'm sure that my children will inherit certain traits, whether good or bad, from me, whether I want them to or not, and I could maybe try to train some of those things out of them, but some of them, they're just gonna kinda come as part of the hardware, you know what I mean? So that's a very interesting thing to think about. And these last 2, number 12, human relationships matter more than efficiency. Um, yeah, I would tend to agree with this one as well. As someone who, again, I say I use AI all day, every day. It can be very exhausting. It can be very isolating and lonely when you really get to just talking with robots and chatbots all day, every day. Um, there's nothing that can replace just bonding with an actual human, with getting feedback, with shooting the shit with someone that's an actual human, right? Like that, I feel like that could become a lost art in the near future. And that's something that I think about as well. Of it kind of goes up to the AI religion kind of thing, like or the relationship kind of thing, like. What are we doing as a society when we talk to robots more than each other? That's kind of interesting thing to think about. And the last one, number 13, society must choose between power and dignity. Um, that one, that's a little bit too ethereal for me. I don't really want to dive all that much into that one. I think that kind of goes back to the number 3 one, the big tech concentration could be a little dangerous. Um, yeah, I mean, AI is power. It really is. Like it gives someone like me, someone like you, power in terms of capacity, right? Like I can do more with my time. I can do better things with my time. Um, does that diminish my dignity as a human? No, I don't think so. I don't really know. I didn't really get to read a lot about this section. Um, but I think it kind of goes back to the other piece of workers must not be treated like machines. I think there's a lot here in terms of like the wealth separation. That's one thing that I think about a lot of the AI, of like the industrial revolution really like um, kind of even the playing field and made things a lot cheaper for everyone. But like AI at least what I'm finding is that I spend a lot of money on AI tools and AI tokens and AI credits and AI usage. I'm finding that I'm spending more and more as time goes on, right? The more projects we get, the more clients we get, the more usage we have. And it's like, okay, where does that lead? That leads to the more resource that I have as a business, the more I can feed into the AI machine. But the less I have, the less I can feed into the machine. So what does that do? That only widens this inequality type of field that we're living in, right? Because basically, if you got a lot of money to blow, you can blow it on AI and you can focus on investments, you can focus on productivity, efficiency gains. But if you don't have that money, you could still you're stuck behind the people who have it and can use AI to go faster, right? Um, that kind of bothers me. That bothers me in different ways. I mean, on one hand, um, I appreciate the fact that, like, okay, if I pay for a Claude subscription, that gets me access into something that is a capitalist society, right? Like, I've paid for access to get this thing that I want, and I will leverage it because I paid my money for it, right? Part of me is like, yeah, that makes sense. Um, and then part of me is like, well, the only thing that separates me from someone else that can't afford it is that money, is like literally that access, you know? Um, and I've been in places where I didn't have, the money to pay for that kind of stuff in my life too. So, um, I don't know. I think that's a very interesting one, and I just don't have a lot more, thoughts on how all that's going. That's something I'm still kicking around in my head, in my heart a little bit. Um, so anyway, those are the 13 points of what was of really what the Pope covered in his document that he released. So I hope this was helpful. I hope this was interesting. I hope maybe I sparked some thoughts in your mind and in your circle possibly. I'm curious to hear your thoughts and your opinions on these things. You can always go over and click on the website link in the show. You can subscribe and you can send messages to me, and you can also email me as well. I'd be very interested to hear your thoughts and your opinions on all of this, or you can leave a comment below if you're watching this on YouTube. So that is it for this episode. As always, I appreciate all of you. Please be sure to subscribe and like the show and share this with anyone you think might find value out of it. I'm Dan Hafner. Talk to you guys later. Thanks.
Thanks for tuning in to Tech Bites, your go-to show for software business and technology. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button to stay updated with our latest episodes, insights, and stories. Hungry for more? Dive deeper into the world of no-code by visiting dapanacode.com. Your journey to building amazing software without coding skills starts there. Connect with like-minded creators and unlock a world of resources tailored just for you. Subscribe now. Explore Dapper No Code and let's innovate together.